Good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to apologize for the late broadcast due to technical problems, load shedding. Welcome to South Africa. This morning's session on measuring your leadership as a test on your level of leadership. We want to jump immediately into the session this morning. And the definition for testing, we need to understand when we are measuring our leadership, it determines if we are successful, if we are making it as a leader. What is the definition of leadership, or of this testing aspect of leadership? It's an opportunity which challenges us as a leader to demonstrate our potential and our maturity as a leader. During this testing, there are three elements that we need to understand on the testing. First of all, is the inward poverty. In other words, do I really understand that my leadership needs to progress? And if it's not progressing but regressing, it means my leadership effectiveness has lost its impact, and I'm just a leader in a title or a position, but I am no longer leading and making an impact in our leadership style, in our leadership effectiveness. Or the second element of the testing is an inward plateau, which means that we are leading, but my impact as a leader has stagnated. And in actual fact, when our leadership effectiveness is stagnating, it means I've lost my impact in people's lives. I'm no longer leading. I'm just a person, a follower with a title with no impact in people's lives anymore. But through the testing, we can also measure and grow and increase. And I believe what we are doing with these leadership empowerment sessions is that we are working on our effectiveness as a leader. So there's an inward progression, an inward growth. And when there's an inward growth, it means we are now having a greater influence, a greater impact. And to get to this place of inward progress, it means we need to improve ourselves, our soft skills as leaders. We need to understand the followers. We need to make a difference in their lives. And then through this inward progression, our impact will increase in people's lives. So the essence of this morning's session is to evaluate whether we have reached an inward regression or an inward plateau, which is nearly as bad as a regression. Because if we do not grow, it means our followers that we are leading are catching up with us as a leader and sometimes overtake us. And then the third element of the testing of our leadership is the inward progress. And this is on what I want to focus this morning, is on how to get to the place of the inward progression, on how to grow. So in the truth of testing, there are a few things we need to understand. We all experience the testing of our leadership in the different stages of leadership development. And our goal must be to pass every test. And I will show you a little bit later in the session about the different tests that are available. And on the various tests that we are measured to see that we are successful in our progress in the leadership progression. So the testing always precedes promotion. If you're at school, there's a final exam that we have to pass before you can progress to the next grade. There's a final exam at university levels that we have to pass to progress to the next level. And in our final year of our exams, in our final year of our studies, there must be a progression, a passing of leadership, a passing of our academic minimum requirements in order for us to obtain a degree or a certificate or a diploma, all depending on what you are doing and how you are doing this and what course you are doing. So we must remember that testing is not to bring us down. The testing of our leadership skills is basically to measure our growth as a leader and how we can increase in our leadership progression. So self-promotion and human promotion can never replace our divine promotion. I can call myself many titles, and I can claim certain rights as a leader, but only I see this. But nobody else sees the growth in my life. And based upon that limitations, we might have the titles. And here in Africa, we enjoy titles. We want to have all the different titles. I remember, especially in the church world, when I first became involved in the religious spheres of the church. In the mid-80s, everybody wants to be a prophet. And after that season of the prophetic, everybody wants to become a bishop or an apostle. And the latest I've heard is that people are calling themselves intercontinental bishops. We can call ourselves whatever title we like. We can print business cards with all your different titles. But unless people see that in me, my title is worthless. And if people recognize a certain skill or a certain level of acquirement, then people will call you upon what they see, and irrespective what you call yourself. A weed can call himself a rose bush, but until he bears the fruit of a rose, he will never be known as a rose bush, and people will never recognize you as a rose bush, even though you can qualify yourself as a rose bush with all your business cards and your resumes and your website. It's worthless unless you pass your leadership test and increase from one level of leadership to a higher level of leadership, from just leading followers to leading leaders. And that is what we all are striving towards, is to impact the influence makers, and that increases our level of leadership. So just as a product, we need to be tested. We must have a SABS grading before we can sell who we are unto others. And the moment you are bearing the fruit of effectiveness in your leadership, you can never bear the fruit or bear the sign of the SABS mark. So in leadership, we are all called to grow and to increase. And I've stated in the beginning that we need to cross the bridge from being average, under average, to become excellent in what you do as a leader. It's a progress. So this test of our leadership effectiveness, it is the evaluation of the progress of development. We have to invest time in ourselves, for ourselves, and for the benefit of those whom we are leading. And this is a process. It's a journey. It's not an event. This morning's session is an event. But the application and the continuous development over a time will help us to increase in our development as leaders, crossing the bridge, crossing the gap from being an average leader to become a leader of excellence. From leading just the followers to becoming a leader that impact and influence other leaders. And if we are focusing this morning, and when we are focusing this morning on the evaluation of the various tests, I think there are 10 tests that I want to point out this morning on how we can progress to an inward progression and replacing the inward plateau or the inward regression. And what is lucky is that we don't have to stick, even if we have missed the mark, even if we have failed the progression. It's never too late to increase yourself and to develop in your leadership skills. And as we develop in our leadership skills, we shall see that our influence levels will increase. People will start to recognize who you are. And if I can go back to the Bible, when Jesus asked his disciples, tell me, who do the people say I am? And it's easy to impress people there on the outside. To tell people, wow, I'm this, and you have all the razzmatazz and all the bells and the whistles and the cameras and the lights and the recording studio, and impress people with your resources. And people might think you are very successful. But we are evaluated upon our inner circle. Show me your inner circle and I shall show you who you are. If you are rating yourself from 1 to 10 in your leadership skills, you must evaluate your leaders and those whom you are leading on their leadership level. If 1 is not good and 10 is good, and if you are a level 6 leader, you can never influence level 6 and higher leaders on higher levels. You can only influence people that is on a lower level than yourself. So if you're looking at people in your inner circle that are surrounding you, you shall see, okay, this leader is only a 3. And I'm only successful on gathering or bringing people together that is lower than me, then you know I am not successful in what I'm doing. I need to improve my soft skills. I need to improve my interpersonal relationship skills. I need to improve my competency levels. I need to improve my character. I need to improve my information, my knowledge regarding leadership development and applying the principles of leadership, which we have discussed a few weeks ago on the different leadership principles to apply. But when we look at the various tastes, let us start with the first taste on our taste of leadership. And the first taste is the taste of small beginnings. Nobody of us like the small beginnings. We all enjoy the numbers and the size and the crowds, but none of us start off there. None of us start on the top. We all work ourselves up to a higher level. The only person that starts on the top is the one that is digging holes for a living. Whether that digging holes involves waiting and trusting, and sometimes we pray, but we don't improve. It's wonderful to pray, but prayer must be accompanied by the input we make. We can pray to become a doctor, but unless you pass the qualifications and the first year and the second year up to your 7th year for your medical degree, you shall never become a doctor. You can print a business card that says Dr. So-and-so, but you will never bear the fruit of that. So let us never despise the day of small beginnings. We all progress slowly but surely, one day at a time. Leaders are not made in one day. Leaders are made one day at a time. If you are the same today as you were a month ago, it means you have not grown. You have actually regressed as a leader. Because those that they are following, they have increased their leadership capacities. So if they experience a leadership progression and you are stagnating, it means you are actually losing your influence. So let us start, even if it's small. Does not matter. If you are a mentor and you can mentor just one person, that's wonderful. And this reminds me of the story of this little boy that was walking on the beach, and a lot of starfish were washed on the beach, and he was picking up the starfish one at a time, throwing back in the ocean. And an elderly man walked up to him and said, "And son, what are you doing?" And he says, "No, I'm picking up the starfish, throwing back in the ocean, saving the starfish." And the old man said, "But look at the thousands. You will never make it." And this boy's wisdom says, "Sir, for this one, I'm making it. One day, one moment, one person at a time, that is fine." And as you improve your skills as a mentor, more and more people will join that want to be mentored. So let us never despise the small beginnings. As pastors, we want the big churches. And we feel failures if we cannot have the 100 and the 2,000 or the 1,000 or the 500, because we have a mental blockage that says that numbers validate my effectiveness. And that is a wrong measure. Numbers can never validate your success in life. If you are called to pastor 100 people and you are pastoring 100 people, you are effective. But others might think you are missing the mark. Never be led by what others determine or define who you are. Be real to yourself. Never look down on what you have achieved. Do whatever you can to do as the best, as Colossians says, as if unto the Lord. Let us do our best. So that's the first test, the test of small beginnings. Can I be faithful with the little? If the Lord can't even trust us with the little, how can He give us even more? Many people are praying for financial breakthroughs and to have millions, but they can't even be trusted with 1,000. If we cannot be trusted with 1,000, how then can we be given more? So that's the first one. The second one is the motivation test. And the motivation test is the intentions of your heart. Why do you want to do what you are doing? Do you do it for fame, for glory, for financial gain? Or do you do it for the sake of the empowerment and the equipping of the next generation? We need to evaluate our own hearts, the intentions of our hearts, the purpose in our hearts, why we are doing the things that we are doing. The moment you've found your niche, there's no more competition. People will not matter for the competition anymore because you know, I do what I have to do, and that brings you peace. And that leads to your next test, which is the stewardship test. Can I be trusted with what I have? I've said it just now on the small beginnings. If we can't even be trusted as stewards with the little, how then can our stewardship be improved or enlarged if I cannot be faithful in the little? It's like the example in the Bible where this rich man has given talents, the 1 and the 3 and the 5 talents. And when he came back, the one said, I've doubled your talents. Other one said, I've doubled your talents. And the third one, who had 1 talent, he hid away his talent and he says, Master, I know you are a tough master, and you shall expect of me more, that I will not lose this. So here is your talent back. I've kept your talent. And the master said, You lazy one, you thief. If we can't even be faithful in what we have, we are actually stealing the grace that's resting upon my life. We have to improve. But the lack of, or the fear of failure is preventing us from taking calculated risks. If we need to improve ourselves, it means we have to do things that we haven't done before. And if you haven't done this before, it means there's a risk of making a mistake. And every leader that I know has made mistakes in the progression of their lives. But the most important part of making a mistake is learning from that mistake. And the fourth test, and this is not one we like. We don't like this one. And that is the wilderness test. Can we remain faithful in the time that when there's a wilderness, when everything seems dead? It's like in the winter in the northern side of our country, where we have summer rains. But in the winter there's no rain, and it seems that the grass are dying. The trees are shedding their leaves, and just the stumps are there. And everything looks dead. But in this time, when everything is seemingly dead, we keep on watering the grass. We keep on watering the trees. And then there comes a time in the winter when we have to prune the trees, prune the rose bushes, so that we can prepare them for when the growth season comes, that they are ready. Our fruit trees need to be pruned. So in this wilderness time, it's the time of cutting back all the branches, so that the growth is not in the extension of the branches, but into the fruit. This is the time that we are tested in our commitment. Can we remain positive? Can we remain happy? Can we remain having faith? And we can evaluate our commitment towards the vision when the times are tough. It's easy to be committed during the good times. It's easy to flow with what you are given and to make radical changes when it's the good times. But the real measure for you as a leader to measure your growth and to measure your level of effectiveness as a leader is the size of the problem that will throw you off your feet. If a small problem can derail you, it means you're a small leader. The size of your problem that you can overcome determine the size of your leadership skills. So this whole lesson on the measuring of your leadership style, your leadership level, is of absolute importance. This leads to the fifth test, which is the credibility test. Once we passed tests, it brings credibility to our leadership. It brings credibility to our position as a leader. Because now suddenly people know you are not just a person that is a good weather leader, but you can lead in tough times. Tough times calls for courageous leaders. Tough times calls for leaders with confidence. And you can only have confidence once you've passed some tests. Once you know, I've been through this and I know what to do, your confidence level increases and your leadership skill increases. And that tells people you are now passing the sixth test, which is the authority test. Once you've passed your different tests, you're graduating from one grade to another grade to another grade, and through the passing of the grades, you are gaining authority. Then there will come a day that people will look at you and say, truly, you are a leader of authority. You are a master of your field. You're an expert. How did you become this overnight success? In leadership, there's nothing that will make an overnight success except you win the lottery. But in leadership, it takes time. John Maxwell says it takes you approximately 30 months to raise a leader to become an effective leader. There's no quick fix. There's no just adding water and put in the microwave. Leadership is not made in one day, but one day at a time. And the seventh test that we need to look at is the leadership test of forgiveness. And this is the tough one. Forgiveness, or unforgiveness for that matter, is like drinking poison and hope somebody else will die. Unforgiveness will limit your progression as a leader. And as a leader, you will be disappointed. You will come to a time that you say, why are people disappointing me? Why are people hurting me? Why are people leaving after I've equipped them? It's a process. And if you have never been rejected, or if you have never been betrayed, you have never been a leader for too long. All leaders that have passed the test of leadership will tell you, I've been wronged, I've been hurt, I've been rejected, I've been discarded as a leader. And the worst part is, it's not people outside in the peripherals of your life. It's the people close to you that hurt you the most. And this is when you have to realize who you are, what you have done, and what you still need to do. Because every time we face a tough time, then we need to dig deep. And this is the 8th test, the warfare test. We will have to come to a place of taking hold what the enemy has stolen from us, taking back what we have lost, taking authority, speaking forgiveness, so that we can experience victory. But victory can only come once we have passed the warfare test. And this warfare test lies in the power of our tongue, lies in our mindset. Do we believe we can overcome? Do we believe in the vision that's placed in our heart? Do we believe that I am created with a specific purpose? And then we have to forgive others. Forgive them for how they have hurt you and disappointed you. It is not the first time, and you're not the first person, and you will not be the last. Every progression is preceded by a disappointment, or in our case, in our example, a failing. And remember, I said to you a few weeks ago, failing is not our enemy. We have to make failing our learning curve, our school. And the 9th test that we will have to look at is the test of time. I think there's a beverage that's available in the marketplace that says he stood the test of time. Will our work stand the test of time? Long after we have gone, left? Do we leave a legacy behind or a vacancy in people's lives? Can we really say we have passed certain tests? None of us like tests, but the test to exit a desert, a deserted place, lies in the test of time. Have I prepared myself? Have I prepared those that I'm leading for the test that lies ahead? What has happened during the time of this COVID-19 of lockdown? It was a tough time. It is, and it's still tough. We're in a desert, a frustrating time. It's a warfare time, a time that we have to dig deep to find the intentions of our heart, the motivation. We have to pass the motivation test. Why am I doing this? Am I a good steward? The third one, am I a good steward with what I have? In this wilderness, our characters, our credibility is tested. And so often, we are failing that specific test. And unfortunately, there's no graduation from one level to another level, from one place of influence to another place of influence, except if we pass all 10 of these tests. I know many people don't like a test. I haven't met people that says, oh, I'm looking forward to the exams. I'm looking for the time of this whole test series because I thrive on tests. People don't like tests. We like the promotion, but not the increase. We enjoy the fruit of the promotion, but not the tests. Therefore, whatever we do is often failing the test of success. And the last lesson I want to share with you quickly is the lordship test. Can I rule? Can I embrace? Can I protect? Can I become the Lord of my environment? Yes, I know we need to be careful on the terminology that we are not the gods of our destiny. But it gives us the knowledge and the skill to improve every aspect of our life. So these are the different tests that we need to look at, we need to embrace, we need to discuss them in this time of progression so that we can move away from the inward poverty, to the inward plateau, so that we can get to the place of an inward progression, inward promotion. Promotion, remember what I've said earlier this morning, promotion comes only after we have passed the test of faithfulness. And I've given you the opportunity this morning to evaluate where you are, to see which of these tests you have passed, which test you still need to pass. And sometimes we are missing the mark of leadership. We are missing the mark of excellence. Let us invest time in the developing of our leadership skills in order for us to evaluate our growth process. And I want to say thank you this morning for being with me to follow us for the past 13, 14 weeks on this journey to leadership empowerment. There is nothing as satisfying for a leader to understand and to see their own growth, and even better, to see the growth in the lives of people that you are leading, and to hear testimonies. I'll say thank you. I've learned so much from your life, and whatever we have lived, We are seeing the fruit of our labor. Therefore, I know we shall see the change in our nation. We shall see the change in our churches if we empower ourselves. I'm now busy in the process of writing our 10th book, co-authoring with another friend of mine on leadership development at a level of the senior secondary school, grades 10, 11, and 12. Can you imagine how effective they will be? When they get to the place of maturity, they already have the advantage of leadership impartation in their life, and they will take on it much quicker. And I'm in the process of working with a colleague of mine, launching a certificate and diploma and a degree level course of empowerment. And I want to invite you, when we launch this, that you shall become part of this new initiative. You shall not be disappointed. And I want to encourage you this morning, irrespective of which test of the 10 you have failed, we can always rewrite the test, and we shall see the fruit of the test. Enjoy the rest of your day and say thank you for tuning in. So next week, same time, not the same time, at 10 o'clock, we will be back with our next session on leadership empowerment, hosted by Spearpoint Training Institute. Enjoy the day. God bless you.